Legion Tactical Cutlery.
Hold the line!
Hey everyone, how you guys doing? Gruggs here at Legion Tactical Cutlery. Welcome back once again, troops, Legionnaires, and any new recruits. This is a channel that tests out knives. Let me get that out of the way right now. In front of you today, we're going to be testing out the GTKii GTK30. I'm going to call this a harpoon kukri. We're going to be putting this through some hardcore testing. The rep said, give it hell. That's what we're going to do. What is everybody carrying today? I have my pocket fixie right here, Tonto. And I don't know what kind of steel. However, it was 12 bucks and I can make this work. What are you all carrying? Veterans, active military, as always, just want to say thank you very much for your service. Enjoy the video. All right, let's go over quick specs. The name of the company is GTKii. The model is GTK30. Overall length is 15 inches with a blade length of 9 inches. Blade steel, AUS-10. With a blade hardness of 58 to 61 HRC. Blade thickness, 6 millimeters. Blade width, 2.3 inch. Handle length, 6 inch. Handle thickness, 0.87 inch. Handle material is a black nylon fiberglass. Weight 22.2 ounces for the knife. With the sheath, it's 28.5 ounces, and it features full Tang lanyard hole, Kydex Sheath, and a nylon belt loop. Let's check out this hunk of steel right here, man. AUS-10, 6 millimeters thick. A harpooned kukri. That is a nice recurved blade. This is a flat grind. I love the swedge over there. Should be good penetration. Could be a good fighting knife, you know. Not a traditional kukri, but still a kukri nonetheless, in my opinion. And I know that a couple other people out there also think the same. You could see that finger choil, sharpening choil. It's got a guard. It's got a decent ergonomic handle for a good grip, so hopefully we're going to get some good chopping. Full Tang goodness right here. Red liners. A little bit of slight jimping. Okay. Nicely contoured, so no matter how you hold it, it feels pretty good. Let me do a reverse grip right here. Yeah, this feels good, man. Yeah. Feels good. Maybe a little hot spot right over here if you're going to hold it in this configuration, if you're cutting up something big. All right. There's plenty of blade there. All right. I know some butchers would rather have no choil, but there's plenty of blade there to do that kind of cutting. Let's take a look at the sheath. Sure that hunk of steel is centered for everybody. The sheath is adequate. It looks good. I just kind of wish it was a little bit tighter because this will fall out of the sheath, the knife. However, it is adequate, and the whole purpose of this sheath is not to cut you. It's got the snaps. Let's unsnap it. Once you put the knife in, it should be fine. Let's do that. There we go. Now, I'm telling you right now, if I am to shake this, it will come out. So, you know, I'm telling you, no sense in me showing you. But that's a nice package, man. And it looks pretty impressive. You know, it does have this nylon belt loop. It's not ambidextrous because it's riveted over here, but, you know, somebody with some, you know, creative thinking can drill these out and use screws instead and flip it over, maybe. Or figure out something else. Maybe take this off completely and get something third party. You know, tech lock of some sort. Or third party piece that can go here, and then you could have it set both ways. But that is third party. Still an adequate sheath so that you don't get cut. Now, I say enough talking. Rep said abuse it, so I got myself a real nice hard piece of wood right here. This is a piece of wood that they put in between concrete at these job sites over here where they're constructing at at this complex, and they're throwing them away. So I grab them, and this is nice and hard, man. So hopefully it'll provide a good chopping test for this knife. Let's get to it. All right, troops, I just added the lanyard here. I always want to be safe. I don't think I need it with this handle, but we'll start off, you know, with this lanyard and see how it works out. It's a pretty solid piece of wood, man. Again, it was holding concrete, okay? Slabs of concrete, and then they separated the concrete with this wood, and it was, I don't know, 4 or 5 rows high. So I'm hoping this is going to be a good test piece right here. So let's get started. All right, that was a nice chop. There we go. Now, rest assured, I do have some wood, some, you know, wood from a tree, branches and stuff like that. And I will be doing some testing with that too. But I wanted to see how this wood does against this edge of the kukri. Well, right off the bat, I'm telling you right now that the sweet spot's going to be right over here. No sense in chopping behind, although I will try and chop behind here where the recurve is, but you know, when you're swinging, it's going to hit this area right here. So, and you know, maybe that's what I'm just going to do. Just seems too easy. Now you can see it's pretty solid in here. All right, it looks old on the outside, but it's brand new wood on the inside, dried, nice and hard. Let's keep going. Looking good, looking good. I don't know how many carpenters watch my channel, but like I said, they're using this to separate these long molded pieces of concrete. I guess they go over the garages and stuff like that. So you can see that it's digging in nice and deep. The handle is very comfortable, man. I don't feel any shock. I have a good grip. I'm glad I have the lanyard, but I don't really need it. Now, I did hit my knuckle right over here on the wood because it's so long, you know, that I started hitting it on the wood over here. So I have to be careful. I'm sure gloves would take care of that. You don't need gloves for this. You know, you really don't. And you can see the sweet spot right there on the blade. It's already discolored. So far, so good. I'm just letting this, you just let the blade do the work. You know, you just give it some momentum, and, you know, that front heavy blade is just going to do the job, as you could see right here. Okay, nice. Make sure I don't cut myself but sure enough, it did the job. And that looks pretty straight. AUS-10, baby. Let's move on. Got ourselves a nice log that I did chop with some other knives. Let's do a little batoning through this. See how this edge holds up. So, you know, if you needed to make a notch, I don't know, you're building something and you needed to make a notch. Let's take a look. That looks good. You could do this kind of batoning. Okay, you can see how nice and deep that's going in, which is good news. That hurt. Okay, once again, hitting the FRN handles. There's a nice wedge right there, looking good. Always get worried when I wedge the blade in there, you know. Nice. There's a nice chunky wedge right there, man. Looks good. You could see the sweet spot over here. So here's your business end right here, right? The front part of the blade. And I'm going to assume later in testing that the finer stuff is going to be here by the recurve. But so far, that's awesome. Coming out fairly easy. You can see that chunk right there. Now, I am hitting this pretty hard because you see the wood bouncing. Just remember, this is a channel that tests out knives. And one of the best ways that I know how to see if the edge rolls, chips, breaks, is to chop into some hardwood. You can see how deep I'm batoning this piece. All right. And again, hitting that handle. And I mean, listen, I'm not pounding on it, but you know, I do trust these fiberglass handles. I know a lot of people don't like them, but it seems to be working. And for the price, you know, you can't go wrong. We're almost through there, troops, almost through. Nice. Nice chunk. Okay, let's first see. Oh my God, that is straight, man. Okay, good. Very happy. Very happy. There you go, troops. Good to go, man. That was awesome. Let me clear this up. We'll do some vertical, horizontal batoning. All right, you can see Batoning did a real good job, and we're looking good here, all right? Now, let me show an example of vertical, horizontal batoning. Maybe I'll use the rear part of the blade now. Okay. Nice. Let's make some quarters. Again, using the rear part of the blade just to show. Actually, let's make some thirds. Excellent. Let's use the mid part of the blade. Awesome. Okay. You know what? Let's keep going. Let's make them even smaller, huh? No problem. I'll pick that up in a second or two. Do it with this. There you go. I think that did a good job. Let's try some horizontal batoning. All right, troops, I don't know what it is, but this is like real easy to do this kind of work. This shape, this design, it's doing a fine job so far. So let's utilize the whole blade here. Definitely a good camp knife here. I don't think you would need an axe with this, man. You know, definitely don't think you would need an axe with this. It's a fibrous piece in here. See that? Okay. Let's process this down even further. Let's see if I can make some thirds. There you go. Nice. Let's go through that knot right there. Awesome. Okay. Nice. So depending on where your environment is, you know, if you're lucky enough to get some stumps, like I was at the park in New York, okay, there's plenty that you could do. Awesome. All right, just letting the blade do the work, man. I'm not even going hard right now. That looks good, and you could see did a fine job. Now, let me just test out this tip over here. That's pretty thick, right? Let's see how, is the handle loose? No, I don't feel loose. Let's see how the handle is going to work out here while I'm going to do a tip test. Okay, let me just put this down. Woo-wee, it is hot. It was thundering. It was hailing over here. I thought we were going to have a tornado, but instead the weather stopped. The sun broke out, and now it's nice and hot and humid, man. All right, good. Handle did the job, man, okay? Where I have it positioned, the guard is doing the job. The tip is doing the job, all right? I am digging this knife. I think so far this is my favorite GTKii knife that they have come out with. All right, nice. Good stuff, man, good stuff. That tip is good, it's there. Should I do one more? Let's do one more. There's also that protruding tank. That hurts, man, when you try and tap it with your hand a bit, but yeah, I gotta be safe. So maybe what I'll do then instead is tap it with another piece of wood first. Now let's see. Perfect. Okay. Went right through. There we go, man. Awesome, awesome. Let's test out some feather sticking and individual curls with this. Okay, I could use a saw for this, you know, no doubt. But again, this is a channel that tests out knives. All right, there we go, cross batoned. And let's take this piece and let's do it again one more time. Okay, I don't need that piece right there. So let's process this to something a little bit smaller. Awesome. Okay, now you can see the discoloration over here. The rear and mid part of the blade was used, and in my opinion, this would be the best part to use this to make, curls, do some fine work. It's a big blade, so I do recommend something a little bit smaller, okay, to take with you. However, if this is all you've got, you can see that it's doing the job. Just using that front part of the blade right here. Okay, to do the job. You know I use that front part of the blade. Nice, okay? There you go. Here's a nice little pile. Do it, don't do it, I don't care. It's a demonstration. It's a channel that tests out knives, but you could see that this knife is pretty sharp after the abuse that it took. And again, I have no illusions. Plenty of branches, sticks on the floor, what have you, that you could pick up, start your fire. But I'm testing out this awesome blade to understand what it can do, to show hardworking people out there that you don't have to go buy an expensive knife for it to do what $400 or $500 knives will do, you know? So the only thing I suggest is you learn how to sharpen knives, because DC53 tool steel is hard and tough steel, and it does take a little while to learn how to sharpen it. So just keep that in mind. Now, feather sticks. Let's do some feather sticks. Go to this bark over here for everybody. And that recurve is probably a really good place to do it. It's a matter of getting used to the knife now. It's a big blade, but yet, if you have the skill, the patience, and again, if you don't have a small knife with you, you're gonna have to take care of business with this monster right here. All right, so just a small demonstration. I'm sweating up a storm, troops. I love it, but it's still hot out here, man. I had some guy here I met. He's from New York, Con Ed, worked all his life in the cold weather. Says he can't take this heat. Well, I'll take this over the cold any day. And again, you saw me make the shavings with the front part of the blade and the recurve. Let's do some cam tasks. All right, troops, in front of you, you see some material that might be used in the camp environment. And then I have some resources that I found when I take the war dog for a walk. They've got plenty of this stuff all over the floor, you know, just thrown, you know, all these wonderful resources for me to test. So I pick them up so I could show you how to test them, you know, with the knife. So let's start with this stuff first, okay? The camp stuff first. Let me just put this down someplace. Okay. We have some paracord here. All right. That's the simple chop, since this is a tool that chops, or we could use the rear of the blade, that recurve, to cut or chop. All right, beautiful. So that's a good little test. Some seatbelt material. Let's see if I can get this all the way through. Sure did. Nice little chop and recurve cut. Come on, Grugs, let's get this going. It's hot. There we go. All right, beautiful. So that worked fine and dandy. Let me get this out of the way. We have some small or thin natural rope. We got it chopped, right? Because, hey, look, it's a kukri. Might as well chop things instead. And now with the recurve, let's, it's a short piece. There we go. Cut. All right. So, but just wanted to show you that it did chop. Now we've got the thicker, heavy duty rope over here. I already used that. The thicker, heavy duty rope. Let's do a chop. Nice. And now I have a little bit longer piece. And let's get this sliced. That was easy, okay? You know, I said you got to learn how to sharpen DC53 tool steel. And that I'm thinking, this is AUS-10. This blade is performing so well that I'm thinking that it's DC53 tool steel, but it's AUS-10. So nice chop right there. I'm good to go with this material. Okay, now I've got synthetic rope here. Let's do a little slice and some chopping. All right, so I'm good to go with that. Now, let me just grab that other industrial material and we'll test it out. Okay, I got a few things here I want to chop and cut. All right, just again, I doubt you would do this in a camp environment, but who knows? You know, you find these resources out in the woods, you're going to use them. Hold on a second, troops. Let me just pick up this other piece. All right, so first, the lightest material. I found this. I don't know what it is. Some kind of cotton, but it's sturdy. And if it needs to be cut, easy, okay? So good stuff. And I have this twist tie I found. Not twist tie, but pallet ties. Ooh, the mosquitoes are thick now. Ooh-wee, brother. Okay, so easy to cut. Let's do a quick chop. Done. Now I got some of this tubing that I found. I guess it's for, I don't know, water or whatever. All right. Let me chop a nice big piece. Okay, nice and easy. And it's got some kind of mesh lining in there. Let's cut it. Nice. Got some real thick twist tie over here. This is always a good challenge. Oh my God, that just went right through. Let's just chop these. Done. And let me see. Okay. I don't know. This is underground tubing, maybe, you know. All right, chopped. Okay. Do we need to, I don't know, cut it smaller for whatever reason? There you go. I don't know what reason I would do this for, but it did it, right? Okay, and you can see I'm making little slices. Whatever this tubing is, some form of plastic. It's thick, and it works. The GTKii GTK30 harpoon kukri, man, this thing is badass. Badass. All right, troops, one thing I did forget to do, and I apologize, was test out the spine. However, let's just do this real quick right here. Okay, spine is sharp, showers, good to go now. All right, there you have it, the GTK30, man. This is one big, badass blade. Definitely don't need a hatchet or an axe. I mean, this will do the job in a camp environment, hiking environment, hunting environment. I like this one. This one's real nice, man. This one's got a lot of good balance. This thing can do a lot. And AUS-10. I mean, I thought for a second it was DC-53 tool steel. It's AUS-10. They did a fine job. Either that or I got real lucky with this knife, man. But you see all the work that it can do. Just a small demonstration. And just want to say thanks for watching, man. Let me know what you think about this knife in the comments below. Let me bring awareness, everybody. Hashtag 22 a day. Hashtag 22 a day. No more. There are veterans in active military who wants to get out of the service. They do face a lot of challenges. Unfortunately, one of these challenges is suicide. So at the end of this video, there will be slides that you could pause on, call those phone numbers, surf those websites, read that message from Martin Miller. He's one of your own. Vietnam veteran. Seek the help you all have earned and deserve. Troops, Legionnaires, new recruits. It's hot. It's time for a shower. At the ready, troops. Hold the line. Take care.
Legionnaires!